Ukraine's president is describing yesterday's attack on Kharkiv, as you just heard, as a war crime. He says Russian troops targeted civilian areas with no military facilities nearby. So we want to bring in former U.S. ambassador to Ukraine, William Taylor, for more analysis on this. Thanks for joining us. I want to talk about the diplomatic efforts underway, but first I want to ask you about whether or not you believe there is a reasonable basis to believe that crimes against humanity have occurred in Ukraine.
The attacks, this attack on Kharkiv that you just showed is only the latest. It is a war crime to attack civilian targets. It's a war crime to attack an unprovoked attack on a peaceful country, in particular killing civilians intentionally, knowingly. Yes, this is a war crime. This is the most evident, but not the first evidence of the war crime. Yes, it is definitely a war crime.
Now let me ask you about, I guess, what I can call diplomatic efforts, talks between Russia and Ukraine along the border with Belarus, negotiations yesterday. Of course, Ukraine's president said number one on the list is an immediate ceasefire. That obviously did not go anywhere. What are your thoughts on the meeting? Apparently, they're still open to future conversations. Do you think this is just kind of a bit of a dog and pony show, or is this a sincere attempt at stopping this military action?
So, Emery, clearly this is a sincere attempt to stop it on the side of the Ukrainians. They sent a serious delegation headed up by their defense minister, with whom I've exchanged notes this morning. They also had a very senior member of President Zelensky's political team in the Rada, in the parliament, there with them. They were clearly serious. They were looking for, as you say, a ceasefire. That has to be the beginning. It has to be a ceasefire. They can't continue to shell Kharkiv and attack Kyiv, as well as other cities in the south. As well, that can't continue while there's and hope that there's a serious negotiation. The Russian side, on the other hand, is not obviously serious. We know, first of all, there's only one decision maker in Russia, and he's sitting in the Kremlin. But even the people that they sent to Pripyat, to the border between Ukraine and Belarus, were not. The Russian delegation was headed by a former minister of culture.
Right.
Whereas you have the Ukrainians being very serious.
Yeah, very junior people, not the sorts of people who can hammer out agreements and stop invasions. President Zelensky is also asking the EU to immediately accept Ukraine into the European Union. What sort of difference would that make?
So Ukraine's goal, foreign policy goal, its overall direction is Europe. It has been trying to begin the process of joining the European Union since 2013, which, as we know, prompted this revolution of dignity, the Euromaidan. That was caused by Ukraine's interest in and application to the European Union. So this is a long-standing goal. It is a good goal. Ukraine is demonstrating, Anne-Marie, that they have the values, the intention, the will, and now they're showing they've got the merit of being a real European country. They should certainly join. The Americans, we have no standing in that. We have no say, of course, but we can certainly support the Ukrainians as they apply, not just for the European Union, but for NATO, eventually in NATO.
Let me ask you about the efforts to isolate Russia. Economically, in particular, Russia is being cut off from the rest of the world with, these sanctions. But I want to ask you, they don't seem to be working. They didn't work beforehand to slow Vladimir Putin down. At this point, he certainly seems like he's all in. Is there a concern, or should there be a concern, that this type of isolation will put Putin in a position where he has nothing to lose?
Emery, he's got plenty to lose. If he is rational, or any degree of rationality, if there's a shred of rationality in there, he will recognize that these costs that he's already bearing, that the Russian economy is already bearing, that the collapse of the ruble, the raising of interest rates, the effect on his economy, on real Russians, on just normal, everyday Russians. If he has a sense of that, he will recognize that the costs are way out. The costs are way higher than the benefits. What are the benefits? He is doing this. Why? Because he wants to be a great hero. He wants to keep Ukraine out of NATO, which is not, admittedly, on the table right now. So it's something in the future. It's not. There are no benefits. There's no rational reason for him to do that. So I do think these costs being imposed on him are the right thing. The Russian people will feel this. The Russian people will start feeling the effects of their sons and daughters coming back from Ukraine to be buried. This will mount, Anne-Marie. This will mount. This is a problem for President Putin.
And just really quickly, because I've totally used up all the time, but 12 members of Russia's mission to the UN are being accused of being intelligence operatives or being kicked out of the country. Your take on that?
Of course they are. Of course they are. They've been. We've known that these are intelligence officers, and it's the right thing to send them home.
All right, Ambassador Taylor, thank you very much.
Thank you, Andrew.